TB, what are you doing? Get out of the way. You're not the star of the show, that's me. Hello everyone, and welcome back to another Hookster Talk. Sorry about the delay, I was trying to send some links and it wasn't working. Oh, it's just a complete cluster. Yes, we are back once again. Have you not got fed up with me yet? With me and Mr. TB Bear. Look at him, the traitor. Traitorous WTF1 Bear. Unbelievable scenes. Unbelievable scenes. What's that? TV wants to tell me something. He says they're getting better. Okay. Anyway, hello everyone. Welcome to the stream. Yes, it's me talking to a bear once again. Yes. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Right, let's go to the chat first, see if there's anyone there. Probably not. You probably all looked at this and went, nah, can't be bothered this week, mate. Can't be bothered this week. Know what I mean? Know what I mean? Live. Live. That's me. That's me. Hello, Mr. Shane Paul. You have got special recognition as being the first one into my chat. So there you go. You win a prize. I don't know quite what the prize is going to be, but you've won a prize. So welcome along. He says, hello, sir. How is my second favourite F1? Second? Second? Oh my goodness. I don't know about that, you know. I've always liked to be top dog, but second? Wow. Now you're going to make me think of who the first is now, aren't you? Anyway, welcome to the stream. Welcome to the stream. Matthew is in there as well, Mr. 7657. Welcome, Matthew. He says he's my second favourite too after Into the... Oh, I'll tell you what, I'll take that. I'll take that. If I'm second after Into the Barrier, then I'll definitely take that. Definitely. Matthew says, do you prefer chicken korma with naan bread or rice? Rice every time for me, Matt. Rice every time. I do like a bit of rice, yes. Matthew says, TB still has more hair than Dave. Okay then, let's move on, shall we? Let's move on. Shane Paul says, just in case you're wondering, TB is my Oh, you shouldn't tell him that. It's going to get to his head now. He's going to go, TB, you got a favourite, TB? Yes. Somebody loves you. Yes. Oh dear. There he is. Everyone's favourite YouTuber, TB the Bet. He's such a naughty bear. He really is. Look, TB, that has to go up there like that. That's my little guard, so that when I say a P word, it doesn't come out all distorted. Okay, so you leave that like that, and that. Okay, I think it's time for TB to say bye-bye. Bye-bye to TB. Let's put him over there. Yeah. Ah, fucking bears. Let's put that back like that. Okay, so here we go. Mr. Iron Patriots in the chat as well. Hello, sir. He says, Dave Russell, first driver of Mercedes. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Possible movement to Ferrari for Hamilton. Yes, we're just about to talk about that. Let's have a look and see what I put on the thumbnail. I can't remember now. What did I put? Oh yes. Let's start with that first. I've got that over here somewhere. Let's have a look. Oh, someone's sending me messages. Right. It's nothing for me. Right. Now, this is the first talking point we're going to go into, and that is, let me see if I can hide these adverts. There you go. So the first talking point is some big shake-ups today at McLaren, as McLaren have announced the departure of technical director James Key as part of a design team overhaul that will see the leadership of its technical department split between 3 people. Now, anybody who watches Hookster Talks, I've been saying this for the past couple of weeks now, that that's what needs to be changed at McLaren. They need a fundamental revamp of everyone in the team. Unfortunately, I also said it starts at the top, and I do believe that the top man should go. I know it's harsh, but I do believe that's what should happen. But maybe that will happen probably towards the end of the season. The news follows a disappointing start to McLaren's 2023 campaign, with the team failing to score a point in the opening 2 races after admitting it had missed its development targets over the winter. With the departure of Key, is it Key? Yeah, it's Key, sorry. The development of the car will now be overseen by a new technical executive team. I don't like the wording on that. I don't like the wording on that at all. That's not good. Instead of the traditional single technical director. Ferrari's former head of vehicle concept David Sanchez will be one of the 3 heads on the new technical executive team, returning to McLaren at the start of next year after a decade at Ferrari and taking on the role of technical director, car concept and performance. Peter Prodromamu, I'm sure I've completely butchered that name, but there you go, who rejoined McLaren from Red Bull in 2014 after being part of the team's title-winning years between 2010 and 2013, will take the role of technical director. Will take the role of technical director and aerodynamics, while Neil Hoody, I'm getting these names right, aren't I? Who has been at McLaren since 2006, will be promoted into the newly created role of technical director. This all sounds very, very complicated to me. It really does. Jeez Louise, this is not the right direction. All they're doing is moving people around, to be honest, and giving them new names. It's ridiculous. It's like the old names for those jobs that nobody wants, like catering executive. Yeah, that means you make sandwiches. Yeah. It's ridiculous, this is. The 3 new technical... Oh, this... No. What are you doing? Excuse me, I've got to put this all over the place again. What are you doing? The 3 new technical directors will look to reverse McLaren's fortunes at a critical time for the team as it prepares to start work in an eagerly anticipated new wind tunnel later this year. The overall direction of the team will continue to be overseen by new team principal Andrea Stella, who took over the role from Andreas Seidel at the start of this year, and McLaren Racing CEO Zach Brown. Now, Zach Brown, as I've said, is really, in my eyes, the person that needs to go, to be honest. But now let's read this next statement. It's important now that we ensure we have a solid foundation as the next phase of our journey, Brown said. It has been clear for me for some time that our technical development has not moved at a quick enough pace to match our ambition of returning to the front of the grid. I'm pleased that having completed a full review with Andrea, we are now able to implement the restructure required to set the wheels in motion to turn this around. Well, there's a lot of PR gumph and speak there, but I don't like the sound of that at all. And unfortunately, no team has ever started a season as badly as McLaren have and managed to pull it around. And you've got additional problems now of where are they going to finish in the championship, to be honest. Right, you've got the top 6. That is now locked out. It's going to be Mercedes, Ferrari and Red Bull. So they're not going to finish higher than 6 in the championship. But then, of course, now you've got Aston with Fernando Alonso and quite possibly Lance Stroll as well if he can, get some better results. So that's locked out 7th and 8th in the championship standings for any one of the McLaren drivers, to be honest. So the best I think McLaren can hope for in this championship for this year is a 9th or 10th finish. Obviously, I would say, judging at the moment on Piastri's performance, a 9th place finish for Lando Norris is the highest McLaren are going to get this year. Because there's just no way they're going to be able to compete with the cars ahead of them because of how that car is. And they're now admitting they didn't have enough wind tunnel testing time. So, yeah, as I say, no team has come into a season and managed to turn it around that much. You either go into a season fast out of the box, or you come into the season not really that fast, but you do manage to improve as the season progresses, and you manage to get to a higher level, not the top level. I don't think I've ever seen a team that's been sort of a midfield and gone up to the top level by the end of the season. I don't think that's ever been possible, but you do improve and get to a higher level in a championship. But for McLaren, it's looking like some very, very dark days indeed, I have to say, because all this restructuring of, key men in all the jobs, it just takes the focus away from the job in hand, which is trying to make the car faster, more competitive and further up the grid. And so I have to say, unfortunately, this is not looking good for McLaren for this season and possibly 2024 as well, because if they're not going to get the wind tunnel testing time in until the end of this season, it's not really going to improve their chances much for 2024 either. So I think they're going to look at 2025 before they manage to get on top again. Now, of course, the problem with that is if they manage to get a competitive car for 2025, 2026, you've got those big engine regulation changes. So it could all go tits up again. So in terms of McLaren, they're in a horrible position right now. They're in a car that isn't competitive, and they know it isn't competitive. They're trying to do something about it, but they're trying to do the WTF1 trick and just try and move everyone around and put them and just trying to see what sticks. And that, unfortunately, will take the focus hugely off of their campaign for this year. McLaren, they're out of the running this year. I'm going to call it now. They are completely out of the running. I think Lando, 9th position, is the highest he's going to achieve. But I don't even think he's going to get that, because you've got to look at the other sort of midfield. You've got to look at Alpine and other teams like that. I seriously think they're going to end up 12th place finishes. I think Lando may get McLaren into a 12th place driver's finish at the end of the season, and that's going to be it. I cannot, at this current, I know it's only 2 races in, but as I say, that car is not suddenly going to improve such to an extent that it's going to be up there getting 5th and 6th place finishes. There might be a fluke and it might happen in a couple of races, but consistently over the season, it's just not going to happen. Just not going to happen. So yeah, dark days at McLaren at the moment. It's very sad to see. It's very sad to see them at the back of the field fighting with Williams as well. Also a former great team if you're English as well, that I used to watch back in the day. So it's a very, very sad time for both of those teams. And I just hope that McLaren can pull it out of the bag and get higher up the grid. Let's just hope they can. Just hope they can just find just enough to, edge them up and maybe get a 6th or 7th drivers' championship position at the end of it. But I seriously doubt it at the moment. I seriously doubt it. Okay, so that was the first bit of news. The second bit of news, well, it's not really news, is it, really, to be honest? But I'm going to do it anyway because it fills up a couple of minutes segment. And that is Lewis Hamilton going to Ferrari. I mean, it's a joke. It's an obvious joke because it's never going to happen. Lewis Hamilton is not going to go to Ferrari because what's the point? Okay? They're in the same position as Mercedes. They're not beating the Red Bulls. So all that's going to do is push Lewis into a sideways position. He's going to be in a Ferrari, which still can't catch a Red Bull. So what's the point in moving? He might just as well stay where he is, to be honest. There's no point. The only reason Lewis would move would be to go at Red Bull. And I don't think that's going to happen. There is rumours that a lot of people want that to happen, but I can't see it myself. I can't see him partnering Max. I don't think Red Bull would want that kind of controversy either. So, yeah. But no, going to Ferrari, it's just a complete... I mean, no. If he'd have done that 7 or 8 years ago, yes, when he was in his prime, but at his time of life, at the time of his career, there is absolutely no point in going to Ferrari. Really no point whatsoever. I mean, they're talking about a driver swap, so I think they're probably going to swap him with Carlos Sainz, but it's just a stupid rumour, and it's never going to happen. It's never. Lewis is more likely to retire at the end of the year than go to Ferrari. And he's not going to go anywhere else that's lower down the field, because that isn't Lewis Hamilton, is it? He's not going to be like former drivers of old, where once they've reached that stage of their career, they then go into teams which are further down the grid, like John Alesi when he moved down the pecking order but still carried on racing. And other teams like that, it's not going to happen with Lewis. He's always got that winning edge. So he knows he hasn't got it in Mercedes, but he's certainly not going to disappear down into a midfield team. He'd rather retire, to be honest. And I can see that, definitely. Rather retire. So yes, Lewis Hamilton going to Ferrari, not going to happen. Not going to happen at all. Can't see it happening. Right, let's go back to your comments. Perez says, I am Patriot, #1 competitor for the title. He could be. If Max has some more problems, he could be, yes. That'll be fun. That'll be fun. I'd love to see Sergio win the title, to be honest. Don't know if it's going to happen or not, but I would love to see it. Will F1 Gaming says, sorry, TB. Shane Paul says, why is Bugs, a 30-year-old BBC show, more entertaining than F1 at the moment? I don't know, but I'm with you there, Shane. I'm with you. I'm actually watching that myself on YouTube. Yes. I'm halfway through season 3 at the moment. Yes. But yes, it's so much more entertaining than Formula 1. But there you go. What can you do? Hello, Scott. Welcome to the stream. He says, hi, Dave. Scott says, I've got good news. Well, tell me, Scott. Tell me. I'll probably see it in a minute when I get further down the chat. Lionel Plessy, welcome to the stream, sir. He says, I think Lando should leave the sinking ship at McLaren. Yes, I totally agree with you. Totally agree with you. He is wasting his talent now. He's shown in the past he's a very talented driver, and he's wasting that now at McLaren. He probably wants to stay loyal to the team, but if he wants to win, he should look elsewhere. Maybe replace a certain Red Bull driver. Interesting. Interesting. Possible movement, says Iron Patriot, to Aston Martin for Norris. Wowzers. Now that I would like to see, I have to say. So obviously he's replacing Lance Stroll, because he's not going to replace Fernando Alonso, is he? That would be interesting. Now, I've been seeing a lot in the media about this Lance Stroll situation, saying there's no way that Lawrence is going to get rid of Lance. But yes, there is. Because if there's incentive there and he really wants to push this team forward, he will get rid of his son. He will. He won't get rid of him. Well, I'll tell you what he'll do. He'll push him to the sidelines. Maybe take him a year out and he'll become the test driver or whatever. But, so he'll still have a role in the team. But will he get rid of his son? Yes, of course he will. Of course he will. Because he is a businessman at the end of the day, and a very... don't take anything away from him, a very shrewd businessman. And so, yes, he will definitely get rid of his golden boy if the opportunity comes for someone like Lando Norris or someone else like that to join the team. Because Lando Norris and Fernando Alonso would make a cracking partnership. It's a shame they're not together this year, because they both push each other and possibly get Aston right up there. But yeah, I would like to see that. But yes, 100% Lance Stroll would get sidelined if a really good driver came along. I mean, It's just one of those things. I know it's his son, but he's, as I say, he's a businessman and he knows what he needs to do, and he will definitely do that if the opportunity comes along. So I would like to see that. In 2025. That's a shame. That's a shame. But it could be earlier. Could be earlier because, as I say, you know, if Lando wants out of that McLaren contract for 2024, it's a possibility. Possibility. And as I say, he will get rid of his son. Okay? He will. Look at Lewis Hamilton. Sacked his dad as his manager. It does happen. It does happen. Will F1 Gaming says McLaren will finish no better than 6th in the Constructors' Championship, and even that is a push. Yeah, I agree with you there, Will. We're still yet to see the performance of Pastry, so we have no idea really of what he is capable of, because he's had quite a few sort of bad results to the 2 Grand Prix so far, and sort of incidents that have held him back. So we still have no idea how much ultimate pace Pastry has got, but we will see. Matthew says Verstappen first. Well, that's a foregone conclusion, isn't it? Perez second. Yep, that's definitely another foregone conclusion. Alonso third. Yeah, at his performance level at the moment, I can definitely see that as Alonso third. Fourth, Hamilton. That's ambitious. That's ambitious. I don't see Hamilton finishing 4th. I see him finishing 6th. But, yep, okay. Russell 5th. I can see that from Russell, yeah. Leclerc 6th, yep. Sainz 7th. That's pretty much where Ferrari are, isn't it? 6th and 7th. That is it, basically. Stroll 8th, 9th Gasly, and 10th Ocon. Yes, very interesting. Very interesting indeed. I say the only one I don't think will be Hamilton 4th. But we will see. We will see what happens with Lulu. Will F1 Gaming says I'd put Hamilton behind Russell and Leclerc to be... Yeah, that's what I just said a minute ago. Yeah, I would as well. But interesting. Very interesting. Yes. You should make sure you've got that written down, Matt, and we'll have a look at it again at the end of the season and see if you were right or not, because that would be quite fascinating. So make sure you've got that written down on a piece of paper or something, or on a post-it note, and get back to me at the end of the season, and we'll see how your predictions went, because that would be quite fascinating to see what happens at the end. Will F1 Game says Hamilton is past it, in my opinion. I agree, Will. I agree. He is past it. Much like me. But yeah, he is. He's at the end of his career, unfortunately. There's nothing wrong with that. Everyone's career has to end. Well, in sport anyway, everyone's career has to end. You can't carry on being a sportsman until you're like 55, 60. Doesn't work like that. Doesn't work like that. I mean, the age at the moment is about 38, and that's when you start to retire. It just depends what the sport is, of course. If it's a high impact sport, something like tennis, they usually retire at about 35, I think it is, 35, because tennis, you're basically constantly on the go, and you pick up constant injuries as well. And once your body gets to 35 years old, it's sort of, it takes a very long time to recover from injuries, and so that's when you usually sort of, call it a day. I'm talking about people in top flight tennis, not, like amateurs. I'm talking about people at the top. Usually about 35 they finish. So Hamilton, yeah, he is in the end of his career. I mean, he is a top flight sportsman. He's going around a track at 5-6G, so he's getting tremendous strain on his body, and he's been doing that for very many years now. So he's I think was he 38? His body now it's in real age, his body is probably in comparison to a 50-year-old, like a normal person like you and me. His body age is probably about, I mean, I know he's super fit, but I'm talking about his bones and his ability to come back from injury. He's probably aged about 50 years old for his body. So, he's still doing very well to be still being as competitive at 38. But yeah, he has reached the end of the road. And I know before you're going to say, what about Fernando Alonso? Well, don't forget he did take some time off, so he recovered and refreshed himself, and now and that's possibly what Lewis Hamilton needs to do. Lot of them have done it. Some have been more successful than others. Michael Schumacher, of course, retired from Ferrari and retired from Formula One as far as he was concerned. But then the offer from Mercedes came up, and he thought, you know what? I think I'm going to come back. Now, of course, his first year at Mercedes wasn't very successful at all. But towards the end, in like the 2012 era, he was really instrumental in making that Mercedes what it is today, because his knowledge of development and everything else was what brought that car to the front. And even though Red Bull was still winning championships in 2012 and 2013, by the time 2014 came along, it was a lot of the work that Michael Schumacher had previously put into that Mercedes which brought them to the top. Of course, there's other things as well. There was the engine regulation changes with the new V6 hybrid engine, which helped a lot because they had their engine pretty much perfect out of the gate. So that's what got them. But also cannot be taken away from the fact that the years previous, Michael Schumacher had spent a lot of time in the development of that Mercedes car. So it was quite a success in the end for Michael Schumacher. It didn't start that way, but towards the end. But other drivers, as I say, have done that as well. They've taken a year or 2 years out and come back, and you seem to be refreshed. So I think that's what Lewis possibly needs to do. Retire after this year, be 38 years old. Have a rest, have a holiday. Do what you've always wanted to do for the next couple of years. Come back when you're 41. Have another go at it for a couple of years. I mean, he signed for 3 years at Aston Martin. That's going to be it now. He's because he's going to be 44 years old at the end of that 3-year contract. That'll be the end of his career. He won't. He's not going to sign another 3-year contract. There's just no way. No way is he going to sign another 3 years. Not in today's sport. You could have done that in the past, because a lot of the drivers were in their 40s in the past. But these days, there's so many races. There's so much pressure. There's no way he's going to sign another 3-year contract. So it was successful for Fernando Alonso. So that's what Lewis, I think, should do. Come back and maybe sign a 3-year deal for Aston Martin. Aston Martin could be the home of old Formula One drivers now. So yeah, that's what I think he should do. Matthew says 11th Norris. Yes, I would agree with you there. I think I said that earlier, didn't I? I said the best I think he could hope for this year is going to be 11th position, purely because of all the cars ahead of him. There's just the way that car is, it's just no space for him to get any further up the grid. So yeah, I'd agree with you there on Norris. Magnussen 12th. Possibly. 13th for Pastry. Yes, agree with you there. Hulkenberg, yeah. Bottas 15th. Yeah. 16th Tsunoda. Oh, wait, you got Bottas twice. Albon 19th. No, Albon 18th. And De Vries. No, Albon 18th. 19th De Vries. And 20th Logan Sargent. Yes, I've heard a lot of comments about Logan Sargent that he's really not been that good out of the box the last 2 races, but it's still very early to see. But I have to say his performance certainly isn't sort of impressing as much as the hype surrounding his move to Williams. It just doesn't seem to be there at the moment. But as I say, it's very early to tell off just 2 rounds. Lionel Pletty says, I can't see that happening, nor can I see Lewis going to Red Bull. Exactly. Okay, constructors now for Matthew. We've got 1 Red Bull, 350 points clear. Yeah, I could definitely see that. I mean, Max had that penalty, didn't he? And he still ended up second, so that was still Uh, what is it for second place now? I can't blink and remember. It's been so long since I've even looked at second. Is it 18 points now? Yeah, 18 points for second place. That's right. So yeah, he still got 18 points, and he started 15th right at the, or near to the back. So I can't see them not winning that constructors championship unless something major happens and they start getting like 4 or 5 engine failures on the trot, which I can't see that happening, to be honest. Mercedes second. That's interesting. I would actually have Aston Martin in second in the constructors, but trouble is I don't think Lance Stroll can keep the points tally up enough for the constructors. If he could, I would definitely say Aston for second, but as I say, I don't think he's going to be able to, because if he keeps finishing like 7th or 8th, that's not going to be enough. So yeah, Mercedes will be second, although I don't know. What about Ferrari though? I think Ferrari could be... Oh, it's difficult, isn't it? It's difficult. It's all speculation, but yeah, I think Ferrari could be second. I think Aston Martin, if Lance Stroll keeps, getting as many points, Aston Martin, I think, could be up there. Fourth Ferrari, yep. 5th Alpine, 6th McLaren, yeah, that's possibly. 7th Haas, yeah. 8th Alfa Romeo, 9th AlphaTauri, and 10th, unfortunately, is Williams. Yes. That's a shame. Whee! Scott Barnes says, yesterday I got a PS5. Yes! Well done, Scott. Well done. Yes, they are now available in your local Argos. And finally, at the price they should be as well. Not blinking £600 for these scalper rip-offs. So well done, Scott. You are now an official member of the PlayStation family once again. Yes. And you're watching a channel right now which has PlayStation in its title. But don't tell anyone, especially Sony. They still haven't caught up to me yet about that. Planet Plessy says Hamilton should try doing Le Mans. Yeah, I'd like to see him do Le Mans. Definitely. Could you imagine Le Mans though, and if he's got Rocky as in his ear? Could you imagine 24 hours of Lewis moaning at Rocky? He'd need therapy afterwards, wouldn't he? Or is it Bono? It's Bono, isn't it? One of the two, anyway. The tide's going off, Bono. Did you order my pizza, Bono? I'm coming in 5 laps, Bono. I need my pizza. Have you got my warm blankie? I need my blanket and my hot water bottle. Because I need to go sleeps. Need to go sleeps for 2 hours for the next stint. Bono. Have you done my washing, Bono? Oh, that would be a laugh. 24 hours of Lulu moaning. Matthew says 17th. I meant Zool. Sorry, no worries, Matt. I worked it out. Yeah. Will F1 Gaming says Verstappen would eat Hamilton for breakfast if they were teammates. I agree. He would. If they were in the same car, I think he definitely would. The trouble is, it would get very nasty and very dirty, and I just think it would be like Senna and Prost, and they just constantly keep crashing into each other and take each other out. I just can't see any other way that would go for the pair of them if they were together. It's just going to be constant, The only way they'd avoid that is if Lewis Hamilton couldn't get, in a position where he's behind Max Verstappen. But if he's in that Red Bull, if you just look at what Checo's doing with it, it's pretty assured that he probably would be, behind Max at the starts, and he just keep crashing into him. That's obvious. So yeah. Helium Trophy says, I spent brain cells trying to get my head around the whole Benetton-Ligier saga from 94 to 95. Makes modern F1 seem a little too polite. Yes, it does. Oh, the whole Benetton-Ligier. Oh, that was a great turn of events, that was. My favourite part of that was Johnny Herbert in the Benetton. Yes! Oh, that was great. Loved old Johnny Herbert in the Benetton. Really did. Such a shame. He had so much bad luck though. It was unbelievable. Matthew says, thoughts on Jos Verstappen ignoring Perez. Well, anybody who followed F1 back in the day knows that Jos Verstappen is an arsehole. He basically did nothing in his own F1 career. Admittedly he drove toilets, but the reason he drove toilets was because that he wasn't a very good driver. And so what he's done is he decided to himself, well, I'm not very good, so I'm going to have a son and I'm going to try and make him the best F1. And that's exactly what he did. You know, constantly taking out his son to go karting and whatever to make him the best driver because of his own failings. Because Jos Verstappen, just Google his career. It's just, in some places, it's a joke. In fact, the biggest joke is the fact that Max is so successful when compared to his dad, because it's night and day. Jos Verstappen was a terrible F1 driver. He really was. I think possibly there was only 3 races in his career where he sort of showed a tiny modicum of talent, and that was about it. But as I say, he drove toilet after toilet because he was no good, not because, you know, he couldn't get a drive. As I say, if you're good enough, you will get those top, but he just wasn't. He really wasn't. And so, yeah, Verstappen, Josh the boss, is an arse. He's an arse hat and always has been. Unfortunately, some of that has rubbed onto Maxi Boy. You can see those arsehole tendencies that start to come out now and again, unfortunately. But what can you do? What can you do? Will F1 Gaming says Rocky was Seb's engineer at Red Bull. Rocky, Seb's engineer. That's right, Rocky. Yeah, it's Bono, isn't it now? Bono with Lulu. I haven't heard Bono for ages though, so perhaps he's left now. I don't know. But yeah, I remember Bono. Bono! Tyres are getting cold, Bono! Bono! My tyres are going off! Tyres are going off! Okay, Lewis. Okay, just press on now. Press on. Press on. Bono! Where's me pizza, Bono? Okay, Lewis, it's on the way. It's on the way. We ordered it 15 minutes ago. It should be there by the first pit stop. Press on now. Press on. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Matthew says, do you think Jos Verstappen forced Max to be an F1 driver? Yes, 100%. Which goes back to my previous questions. 100%. As I say, he had a shit career of his own, was really not very good at all. And so he decided, that's it, I'm going to have a son and I'm going to make him the best F1 driver. And he did, because of his own failings. Really was. Planet Plenty says Johnny Herbert drove for 3 teams in that 19... Yes, he did. 3 teams, Johnny Herbert. Oh dear. I've said this previously. I remember that Lotus race he did, and I can't remember which season that was. It's a long time ago now. We're getting into was it 30 years ago? I don't know. Something like that anyway. 29 years ago. A long time ago. But I don't know if it was that 94 season, but he drove for Lotus, and I remember that they weren't doing very well, and then they bought this absolutely brilliant new engine, but they only had one, and they gave it to Johnny, and apparently this engine was like a rocket ship. It really was. And unfortunately the race started, Johnny Herbert had an incident where he had to get into the spare car, and unfortunately the spare car had the old engine in it, and Johnny, I got this, the look on his face was just heartbreaking, because it's still embedded into my eyeballs. But you've never seen someone go from such an excitement level, because this engine apparently was brilliant. Nobody knows if it was or not, because I don't even know if they used it after that race, but everyone said it was going to be brilliant, and he had to go into the spare car which had the old engine, and he was crestfallen. He was like, what have I got to do? What have I got to do? So yeah, poor Johnny Herbert. He had some very bad luck in his career as well, I have to say. Some very, very bad luck. Will F1 Gaming says Jos Verstappen only had one season where he did well, 2000 at Arrows. Yes, that was the only one at Arrows. But Arrows, at the start of that season, they had a lot of sponsorship. Well, one of the big ones, of course, was the orange sponsorship at the start of the season, which is why the car was orange. Yes, which is orange, if anyone doesn't know from outside of Europe. I think, I don't even know if they're still going now. I don't know, but they were massive telecommunications, mobile phone company, basically. And this was the start of the era when they were taking over the sponsorship from the old tobacco and cigarette advertising and the alcohol sponsorship that, of course, was getting banned in Formula One. Bernie Ecclestone managed, of course, to get an extension to that purely for Formula One, so they could still have the alcohol and tobacco sponsorship. Well, I think it was for another 7 years or so, but that was the only sport that was still allowed to do that. And then, of course, eventually that deal ran out completely, and then they had to ban all alcohol and tobacco. So somebody had to come in and take over. And at the time, of course, 2000, what was absolutely buzzing everywhere but telecommunications companies. You had Vodafone, Orange, and all those other, really big names, because mobile phones were starting to get really, really popular. Really popular, because basically they weren't as big as a semi-detached house anymore, and they were quite small. They were quite small, yes, in comparison. Still massive back in 2000, but quite small from what they were. And so, they were the only ones that had all the money. So they rushed into Formula One and embraced it with open arms. And it was great, yeah. And yeah, he did do well in that season. But as I say, they had a huge sponsorship behind them, and, quite a lot of money for development as well. So that's why that Arrows, I have to say, it was a pretty decent midfield car in 2000. Blind Pletty says, Jos Verstappen is a sore loser, although he did drive some rubbish cars in his career. Yes, he is a sore loser, and yes, he did drive some rubbish cars. I think the Arrows was probably the best one he drove. I mean, yeah, he did drive the Benetton, though, didn't he? Not for very long, but he did drive the Benetton. But then lots of people drove the Benetton, really. So, yeah. It was a shame. Matthew says, I don't like Verstappen winning mainly because of Jos Verstappen. Yes, exactly. Helium Trophy says he fucked up his chance at Benetton. He did indeed. He did indeed. He had all the potential there, and he just blew it. Because, as I said a minute ago, he just wasn't a good driver. He had a lot of sort of people behind the scenes bigging him up and promoting him and saying how good he was, but when he goes out on the track, that's when your bullshit matters, and he just did not perform. He really didn't perform. And yeah, Benetton, he completely mucked that up completely. Absolutely. Planet Places says Malaysia 2001 is a good example. At one point he was running second, then he finished 7th. Yeah, not good. Will F1 Gaming says Austria 2001, he was running second as he had a light fuel load and finished 6th place. Planet Place says, and in 1995 during his Simtech days, the Simtech, I used to love that car. He qualified in the midfield, and during Argentina he was running in the top 6, but a poor pit stop suffered his race. Yes. Stewart fired Jan Magnussen in 1998 after he scored a point for them in Canada, then brought Jos in. He did even worse. Yes, he did. Yes. So that wasn't a good idea, was it? Will F1 Game says Josh finished 4th in 2000 in Monza. Yeah, that was with that arrows again, wasn't it? So, yeah. Wow, was that his best finish then, 4th? Surely that's got to be his best finish. I don't remember him finishing any higher than that. Helium Trophy says the problem with F1 is there's not enough bastards out there employing football manager speak. No, you're right. They haven't got that killer instinct. I've said this in the past during these streams as well. You know, to be a winner, you have to be an arsehole. There's no two ways about it. There's the old saying that nice guys, finish last, and they do. You have got to be an arse. That's why a lot of people moan about Lewis Hamilton, because he is an arsehole. But the results are there, not lately, but the results of the past are there. But that's because he is an arse. Max Verstappen is an arse. Ayrton Senna was an arse, but they get the results. And they're great drivers because you've got to have that killer instinct. You can't, unfortunately, I'm going to direct this at Lando Norris because he's too nice. He's got to be more aggressive, and he's got to stop making stupid quadrant videos as well, because it's not doing his image any good at all. He's got to put a harder edge on himself, and then I think he'll move closer to the front, because he's just being too nice, and you can't be nice in Formula One. You just can't. Final Pletty says Johnny Herbert qualified the Lotus 4th in Monza. Sadly got tapped by Irvine, I believe. Will F1 Game says Lotus didn't score a single point in 1994. Yeah, I can understand that, because the Lotus car in 94 was a dog. It really was. It was terrible. Yeah, that's right. Helium Trophy says Johnny's at Motorsport Magazine these days. Yeah, it's very sad. I was very sad when he got the push from Sky F1. Not that I ever watched the Sky coverage, but I just thought it was sad. And I did look at Johnny's Twitter feed pretty much the day after he got sacked, and he was reminiscing about past, showing people past trophies and past glories, and that just made me very sad, because as a middle-aged person, that's what you tend to do. You tend to go back to your past and reminisce about the good old days, as they say. But I just thought it was a little bit sad that that's I still don't know why Sky got rid of him, to be honest. Never really explained. Just having a clear out, I suppose, and they thought, oh well, we'll get rid of these two. Getting rid of old Formula One drivers just makes me laugh. It really does. So they get rid of them and then bring in people who have no clue, no history, no heritage of Formula One to replace them. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Will F1 Game says Herbert raced for Ligier for Jerez only, and then went to Benetton for the last 2 races and for the whole of the 1995 season. Yeah, that's right. Planet Petty says the 2000 Arrows was a decent car, but suffered from reliability. Yes. Now, of course, anyone who's into F1 games will know that EA, oh my God, I can't think I'm saying, EA released F1 2000, and for the first time ever, it was supposed to be released before the season started. Unfortunately, they missed the window by 1 week, so it actually came out 1 week after the Australian Grand Prix. They just missed it by a week, just one of those things. But it was the first game that came out pretty much at the start of the season. But unfortunately, because of that, the Arrows in 2000 is in black, because that orange sponsorship deal was announced just 6 weeks before the season started. And of course, they make computer games like months in advance. By the time the latest F1 2023 is finished this year by Codemasters, it'll be 1 month before when it's finished, and then it has to go to to get Blu-rays run off it, and has to go through all the promotions and all that. But the game is finished 1 month before, and unfortunately that's what happened with F1 2000. It was already done, and the livery wasn't correct, unfortunately. But there you go. That's why 6 months later they released F1 Championship Season 2000, which had the correct orange livery on it, which was great to see. So there you go, a little bit of history lesson there. Will says Jos Verstappen had 2 podiums at Benetton, 3rd in Hungary and 3rd in Belgium after Schumacher's DSQ. Planoplay says in 2001 ITV did a documentary series following the Arrows team. It was called Racing Arrows and lasted 13 episodes. I remember that. I don't think I ever saw all of it, but I do remember. I remember the name Racing Arrows. Yeah. So that was the original Drive to Survive, really, wasn't it? See, it's all a copy. It's all a copy. Will says EA F1 2000 had incorrect car performance as well. Yes, it did. It had a lot of problems, but to give it its credit, number one, I like the game. One problem is it's way too easy. That's a little bit of a huge problem in an F1 game if it's too easy. If you put it on the highest difficulty level and you still keep winning races, there's no way you can go from that. You can't. What can you do to him? You can't. Go blindfolded? I don't know. Now, if you turn it the other way, if it's too hard, that's fine because you can just turn the difficulty down if you find it too hard. But to have it too easy, it's not very good. Same as F105 on the PlayStation 2. That was you could win a championship season in a Minardi without even qualifying. You could start at the back of the grid and you could win a championship in the Minardi because for some godforsaken reason they made the difficulty really easy. But it could have been because F104, the difficulty was absolutely insane. Lots of people said this is too hard, but they went completely the other way and made it too easy. F106 had the balance nigh on perfect. That's what I'm going to say. But yeah, F1 2000, that was a great game. As I say, coming out at the start of the season, the excitement was there. And what I used to do was I used to watch the race on a Sunday, and then I'd do it on F1 2000 as well. I did the whole thing, 100% race distance. It's great. You can't do it anymore. Well, you can, but you're halfway through the season and you're a bit like, I can't be bothered. But at that time, because you had the game all ready to go, you could do it straight after the race. And so that's what I did in most of 2000. Right, how long we been? Bloody hell! I've been going for an hour and I've been waffling as always. Right, let's see. Let's see if we can find anyone to talk to. Let's get rid of my beautiful face. Yay! Says everyone. Yay! La la la, la la la. Ooh. La la la. La la la. I do apologise. Once again, as I've said many times in the past, I do this all live. So, now, I understand that Canadian geezer is still at the Planty Pot's house. So, let's give him another try. I did do this before I came on air once again, and he didn't answer. He didn't answer. But we're going to persevere and see if we can get in touch with the Canadian. at his profile. Look at him. Look, trying to be Bruce Springsteen. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Born in the USA. Born. He wasn't actually. He was born in Canada, but born in the USA. What a chump. What a chump. Answer the bloody phone. Born in the USA. Come on. This is outrageous, you know. Don't they know who I am? Answer the bloody phone. Da, 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 da. Boo, 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 boo. So this is Dominic Orlando, everyone. Yes, 28 years old, I do believe, and he is single. If any ladies are watching and looking at that profile picture now and thinking, that's the kind of stuff I need, then yeah, he is single, and I do understand he is a member of Christian Mingle as well, which is a dating site on the internet. Yes, I unfortunately could never be on that site. No, it's bad enough that I'm banned from Tinder, but so yeah, if there's any young ladies in Canada who are watching this right now, because I'm sure they are, give him a call. Give him a call. You never know. You never know. He's not going to answer, is he? Not going to answer. Diddy. Right, let's do. Let's do. Let's do the party plan. Diddy. I've got that humming through my head now. Born in the USA. Answer the phone. This would never happen on the Alva channel, would it? Or P1 with Matt and Tommy, or WTF1. No, the guests would be ready to go, but no. It's no. It's a no. It's a no from me, and it's a no from him. Ah. There's nothing worse than a ringing phone. So let's, for our otherwise we're going to wrap the stream up. Let's go to the general chat, which we've got about 20 of the lads in. I've got to get rid of a lot of people, so please stand by. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I've got to get rid of one. Go for that one. Right, here we go then. Last one. It's the last one of this evening. Da-da. Play my bear. Hello, TB. Hello. Oh, you're gorgeous. Love you. Okay. No one wants to speak to me. I get it. I get it. We tried our best. But there you go. So I think we've been on. I think I shall wrap up the stream right there. Thanks everyone for watching tonight. Thanks to Will F1 Gaming and thanks to everyone for their input in the comments tonight. It's been fascinating reading through all that stuff. Great to see. So thanks to Will F1 Gaming, Plynal Plessy, Helium Trophy, Matthew D'Souza, Scott Barnes, who now has got a PS5, so we won't ever see him again. I Am Patriot was in there as well. And Shane Paul, of course, who was my first commentator right at the start of the stream. So thanks so much for watching, everyone. You have been awesome as always, and from me and the bear, we will see you next week for another Hookster Talks. And of course we will have more to talk about because it will be the Thursday. No, it won't, because there's no Grand Prix, is there? So we still won't have anything to talk about, but hopefully we might have some guests next week. I'll see if I can get Hannah on the show. Yeah, that's not going to happen, is it? That's not going to happen. But anyway, thanks everyone. You have been awesome as always. From me and Mr. TB the Bear. TB the Bear. Thanks everyone. And I'll catch you in the next video. Thank you and good night.